We are continuing this story here. That is the mugshot released by Sag Harbor Police. Jody Goldberg tweeting it out. We just spoke to Jessica Formoso there on the ground in Sag Harbor where this arrest took place. So we're also going to be speaking with some of our sources and friends at TMZ a little bit later on. TMZ was reporting this, that Justin was arraigned and released without bail. He's been charged with 1 count of DWI. He was cited for running a stop sign and failure to keep in his lane. The next court date is July the 26th here. In the meantime here, we do have some of our legal experts standing by, including analyst Michael Brown. He joins me to help us make sense of this. Michael, thanks for being with us here. You've been following this case today as well. Is this your standard run-of-the-mill DUI case or not, because the defendant now, Justin Timberlake, is so high profile?
Andrew, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. It is a standard in the sense that it's a typical DWI, driving while intoxicated. The police officer uses the verbiage we see in just about every DWI, where he claims the individual has an odor of an alcoholic beverage, he's unsteady on his feet, his eyes are glassy and slurred, his eyes are red and bloodshot, and his speech is slurred. And then they perform typically 3 standardized field sobriety tests, and usually the officer claims that they did poorly on him to indicate that they're intoxicated.
So, Michael, I'm curious, if you're Justin Timberlake in this situation and you are inebriated and you are intoxicated and you do decline a breathalyzer test, does that work in your favor or against it?
It really depends on the jurisdiction. Here in Suffolk County, the district attorney's office, for the most part, has a cutoff. So if your blood alcohol level is, I'm going to say, reasonable, slightly over the legal limit, it's probably in your best interest to take the test. On the other hand, if it's extremely high, it would be to your benefit to refuse the chemical test.
Okay. What about the field sobriety test? Can someone who's stopped refuse that as well, or no?
Sure. You have no obligation to take the field sobriety test. What's nice is most of the jurisdictions here in our county in Suffolk have body cams. So the officers will have body-worn cams, and they usually will show whether or not the individual actually does well or not, despite what the officer depicts or describes.
Yeah, we just got, like you've been seeing and our viewers have been seeing, the mugshot from Sag Harbor Police. Is it always incumbent on the police to also release the body cam footage in something like this? Normally I would imagine they wouldn't, but because the defendant now is so famous, maybe they will. Or does it matter?
Under New York state law, thankfully, the discovery statute now requires the district attorney and the police to release the body cam and any car cam as well. So yes, that's typical. Obviously, it got out fairly quick, but yes, that is something they're required to do. And it's to the benefit of the defendant, potentially, but certainly the district attorney has that obligation.
Yeah, Michael, as well, we're getting some more details about the stop, about his interactions and communications with police. He reportedly told officers he consumed a martini at dinner. That seems somewhat typical as well if you're going out with friends, if you're, spending time with them at a restaurant. So if he wasn't being truthful in that exchange, does that work against him?
Well, if he wasn't being truthful, yeah, because the body cam could depict somebody who's highly intoxicated. But let's understand, the body cam also could show that he's not intoxicated and he's not impaired. So that's really something that we developed in our county over the last 5 or 6 years, and it's transparency, and it could work either way. It could help you. It could be your biggest friend, but it also could be your biggest foe.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to be speaking to our friends there at TMZ a little bit later on tonight. They report sources connected to law enforcement say Timberlake was at the American Hotel in the Hamptons partying, and almost immediately after he left and began driving, TMZ was told that he blew a stop sign. TMZ says cops saw that and began to follow him. They were told that Timberlake began swerving and cops pulled him over. Do we see any kind of anticipation or acknowledgement of Justin Timberlake's celebrity in the exchange with law enforcement? Have you seen that yet in this story? Did he use that to his advantage or no?
I haven't seen any of that. And that would obviously come out in the body cam if that was in fact true. But I don't know, have any knowledge of that.
Okay. And just lastly, Michael, what happens at this next trial date, or court date, rather, on July 26th? Walk us through that. Is it just standard operating procedure? You got to appear, and then you hear maybe what your punishment might be, or is there more dates to be had?
No, I expect there'll be numerous dates. His attorney, who's Eddie Burke, who's a very seasoned attorney, we were DAs together here in Suffolk in the early 90s. He's going to go in conference. In the interim, I expect he'll receive discovery. He'll have an opportunity to look at the body cam, and then he'll formulate his defense and a conference with the prosecutor, and then hopefully reach a favorable disposition for his client.
Yeah. And of course, Michael, this isn't the first, it's not going to be the only high-profile celebrity that gets busted for DWI. What penalty is Timberlake looking at?
Well, the DWI as it is what we call an unclassified misdemeanor. By law, it's up to 1 year in the Suffolk County Jail, a 6-month revocation of your driver's license, up to $1,000 fine, and also the ignition interlock for 1 year. It's highly unlikely that that would be ultimately what the disposition is, as I know his attorney is going to work hard to try to get that reduced to a lesser charge of what's called driving while impaired by alcohol.
All right, Michael Brown, can't thank you enough for helping us make sense of this very high-profile case today coming out of Sag Harbor there in New York with Justin Timberlake. And we await comment or statements from Timberlake and his camp as well. Michael, thanks.